If you've played Marvel Cosmic Invasion, you know that choosing the right hero can be the difference between dominating the universe or being swallowed by it. With so many character options, each with unique abilities and combat styles, assembling the ideal team is almost like putting together a cosmic puzzle. In this video, I'm going to show you the definitive hero tier list, ranking them in the S+, S, A, B, and C levels, based on my own experience, intense testing, and that feeling that only someone who has spent hours in this universe understands. Get ready to discover which characters really excel and which are just for show on your team. I'm Matthew, and the video is about to start. Spider-Man, in rank C, is that character who has style but lacks substance. It's frustrating to see a hero with so much technical potential limited by mechanics that simply don't work as they should. The webs and swinging, which should be his absolute differential, end up seeming clunky, completely breaking the rhythm of combat. In a game that values fluidity and visual impact, this weighs heavily. The problem is that his movement system doesn't talk to aerial combat in the right way. When trying to combine swinging with attack, there is a feeling of delay, as if the control loses response for fractions of a second, enough to leave you exposed. This takes away the whole feeling of being the agile and acrobatic Spider-Man that fans expect. It's a heavy contrast when we put it side by side with characters like Nova or Iron Man, who fly and hit in a much more responsive way. Spider-Man's special also disappoints. Visually, it even looks promising at the beginning, but the impact is so low that it rarely changes the course of a fight. While other characters eliminate entire hordes or bosses in a matter of seconds, Spider-Man seems to be playing hit out of pity. And in advanced levels, this lack of strength becomes more evident, especially when you need characters who solve situations quickly. And his base damage is one of the biggest weaknesses. The combos demand precision and multiple hits, which would even be acceptable if it rewarded the player with a good DPS in the end. But the truth is that he demands a lot to deliver little. When you see Phoenix obliterate enemies with a simple special, while Spider-Man needs an entire sequence of blows to knock down a thug, it becomes clear why he is in this rank. Still, there is something satisfying in mastering his style. For those who like technical characters, who demand total control and patience, he can be a fun choice to practice. In lighter challenges or exploration missions, the swinging and movement still draw attention for the aesthetics. But this is more a matter of liking the character than of real efficiency within the game's meta. In the end, Spider-Man is a hero who carries charisma, but does not keep up with the power or fluidity standard of the others. He is great in the role of symbolic figure, but on the battlefield of Marvel Cosmic Invasion, he ends up being more of a character to play with than a competitive choice. It's a shame, because a simple refinement in the web mechanics could easily elevate him to an A rank. Wolverine in rank C is one of those cases where the character is incredible on paper, but the game doesn't favor his style. In a system that prioritizes crowd control and area attacks, his melee focus simply doesn't keep up with the pace. Wolverine is brutal and fast, but when you're surrounded by waves of cosmic enemies, flying and shooting from afar, his ferocity loses meaning, because he literally needs to run to each one to cause damage. The positive point is that he moves with agility and has visually satisfying combat animations. The hooks, cuts, and sequences of blows remind that classic wild spirit of the character, and those who like more technical gameplay will enjoy mastering the timing of the attacks. However, this individualistic approach doesn't have much space in the current meta. While you close the distance to one enemy, 5 others fill the screen with projectiles that hit him without mercy. The lack of an efficient area attack is the most serious problem. Wolverine needed at least one ability that covered a good part of the field or that created a moment of invulnerability, something like a berserk mode that ripped multiple targets at once. But in this game, he depends too much on physical reach, which limits his applicability outside of 1 versus 1 confrontations. And in Marvel Cosmic Invasion, the focus is rarely the duel, it's the chaos. Even his special, which should be the salvation, ends up leaving something to be desired. It's powerful against a single enemy, of course, but when there are dozens on the screen, it feels irrelevant. It's frustrating to see this character with so much potential for raw damage stuck in a format that doesn't fit the demands of the most dense phases and missions. He has plenty of strength, but lacks the necessary amplitude to stand out. There is, however, a charm in playing with Wolverine, especially when you hit a perfect sequence and see the enemies fall in series. In shorter matches or against mini-bosses, he shines like few others. The problem is that this feeling lasts little, because in practical terms, you are always running after the loss, trying to reach enemies that other characters eliminate with half the effort. Wolverine is a victim of the game's design. His single target style works very well in isolated combats, but in a scenario of cosmic crowds and projectiles on all sides, he feels outdated. If one day the game introduces more closed missions, with a focus on duels or small arenas, he can easily rise in rank. But in the current meta, he is a fierce warrior trapped in a battlefield that simply wasn't made for him. Rocket Raccoon is the typical character who tries to be a ranged powerhouse, but ends up stumbling on his own limitations. He is fun, full of personality, and with an arsenal that seems promising at first glance. However, this promise quickly unravels when combat gets too close. In the current meta, where enemies shorten the distance frequently and space control is essential, Rocket is too exposed to be really effective. That's why his C rank makes total sense. His design is almost a contradiction in itself. The character has access to incredible weapons, quick bursts, and even attacks with good damage in a straight line. But the problem is that the game doesn't give him solid tools to escape dangerous situations. He lacks real defensive mobility, something that allows him to get out of trouble without depending on luck or an ally. When an enemy gets close, Rocket practically panics, and anyone who has played knows how quickly he can be melted in the middle of the confusion. Melee combat simply doesn't help. Short-range attacks have tiny reach and lack impact, which makes the player dependent on maintaining an almost perfect distance all the time. In a chaotic battlefield full of projectiles and teleports, that's asking too much. Every moment in which Rocket needs to fight up close, he looks like a character from another game, completely out of place. Even his long-range weapons, which should be the strong point, end up being underutilized by the lack of crowd control. They hit few enemies at the same time, and their hit rate depends more on the player's position and angle than on the ability being really wide. This puts him at a direct disadvantage against heroes like Iron Man or Star-Lord, who can clear entire areas without needing to reposition all the time. The feeling when playing with him is like a roller coaster. When he is in control of the distance, Rocket seems brilliant, fast, precise, and deadly. But one slip is enough for everything to crumble in seconds. This generates a constant tension, which can be fun in short sessions, but exhausting in long campaigns or more intense cosmic challenges. Rocket Raccoon is a niche character, great for those who master positioning and seek additional challenge, but problematic for those who want real efficiency. He is likable, charismatic, and visually stylish, but in the current meta, this combination doesn't compensate for the brutal design flaws. A small buff in his defensive tools would be enough to take him out of the C rank, but while that doesn't come, he continues to be a glass cannon that breaks even before shining. Starting our rank B, we have Beta Ray Bill, a character who commands respect the moment he enters the field. The visual and sound impact of each blow transmits power, and his presence is almost mythological. However, this brute force comes at a high cost: speed. He is the type of character who looks like a walking wall, destructive but heavy, and this limits him a lot in dynamic combat situations. His biggest problem is in the preparation time of the attacks. The wind-up animations are long and leave the character vulnerable, especially in higher levels, where the enemies are fast and aggressive. The player needs to calculate each movement with surgical precision, because any timing error means taking damage before being able to strike. This breaks the rhythm and can be frustrating, especially in fights with multiple enemies or incessant projectiles. Despite this, when he hits, the result is devastating. Few characters cause as much damage in a single blow as Beta Ray Bill. The impact is so high that it gives that feeling of true power, especially when the hammer hits with area effect. It's satisfying and even rewarding to master the right time to attack. He shines in more contained battles or against isolated bosses, where there is time to fit his blows without so much interference. The question is that the game favors speed, flow, and chained combos. Heroes who can cross the field eliminating enemies constantly end up seeming more useful. Bill, on the other hand, demands patience and positioning. In phases where the rhythm is intense and the space is limited, you spend more time trying to open space to attack than really applying damage. This doesn't make him weak, just less adaptable to the current meta of Cosmic Invasion. Visually and in terms of personality, Beta Ray Bill is impeccable. He exudes heroism and the feeling of divine strength, with attacks that seem to move the very air around him. This contributes a lot to the immersion and makes any hit seem memorable. The problem is that the game doesn't reward his deliberate style in the same measure that it rewards speed and spam of abilities. In the end, Beta Ray Bill is a pure powerhouse character, strong, worthy, and brutal, but who suffers in a frantic rhythm. His rank B is fair, because he can be incredible in the right hands, but still fights against his own heavy design. If a future patch accelerates his animations or reduces the time of vulnerability during the blows, he would have everything to easily rise to rank A, without losing the essence of being a titan on the battlefield. Phyla-Vell is the classic example of a character who does many things, but doesn't stand out in any. She is competent, balanced, and even stylish, but in the end, something is missing that differentiates her within such a strong cast. Her rank B reflects this well. There is nothing really wrong with her, but the game constantly offers better options to perform the same role, with more efficiency and impact. Her kit is interesting at first glance, mixing attacks with sword and manipulation of cosmic energy. This combination gives an air of versatility that, on paper, is promising. The problem is that the two halves of her set seem to fight each other. The swords work well in short range, but lack options to maintain constant combos, while the energy attacks cover more space, but with medium damage. In the end, she ends up being a hybrid that has style, but lacks clear identity. It is in this vagueness that Phyla gets lost in the meta. When you compare her with characters who dominate a specific style, like Silver Surfer with his absurdly strong projectiles, or Captain America with superior defense and control, it is difficult to justify using her in place of these names. She tries to make the middle ground between offensive and support, but in Cosmic Invasion, specialization usually yields much more than versatility. Still, there is value in playing with Phyla-Vell. She has a very fluid combat rhythm when mastered, and the way she alternates between blades and energy creates a pleasant visual dance. Players who like to read the field and alternate between short and medium distances can take advantage of her hybrid style. You just need patience to compensate for the lack of raw power, especially in confrontations against bosses or larger hordes. Aesthetically, she is one of the most striking characters. The design is elegant, and the cosmic energy animations combine well with the character's legacy. You can feel that she has the potential to be something bigger, but the kit seems to need a focus, either more damage with the swords or more range and pressure with the energy attacks. As it is, she stays in a limbo between good and forgettable, which is a waste of charisma. Phyla-Vell is solid, but not essential. She delivers the necessary, but never surprises. Her rank B is fair for representing this competent middle ground, where she fulfills the role, but doesn't shine. If the game gives her an update that better defines her focus, transforming her into a fast duelist or a cosmic area dominator, then yes, Phyla would have everything to rise in level and achieve the respect that her potential deserves. Venom is a true monster on the battlefield, in the best and worst sense. He is chaotic, aggressive, and impressive to see in action, but also carries as many vulnerabilities as muscles. His rank B does justice to his nature, a character who has enormous destructive potential, but who pays the price of his own brutality. In hectic matches, this line between predator and prey becomes very thin. The reach of the tentacles is one of Venom's great assets. He covers wide areas with physical attacks that shred enemies near and moderately distant, which makes him excellent in expansive melee combat. However, this reach deceives. He seems safe, but is always within reach of enemy projectiles. This dynamic creates a constant game of risk and reward. Either you destroy everything before they hit you, or you become a giant target in the middle of the screen. And this large hurt box is the main problem. Venom is voluminous, takes up too much space, and ends up absorbing damage even when he wasn't the intended target. The projectiles that would normally pass grazing other characters simply hit him head-on. In missions with many enemies at a distance, playing with him can become an experience of frustration, because even playing well, you feel that the game is punishing you for being too big. Offensively, he is a force of nature. Each combo of claws and tentacles causes a real impact, and few enemies survive a complete sequence. His special, when used well, is devastating, capable of eliminating entire groups in seconds. But the cost of this strength is security. He needs to be inside the mess to cause damage, and the more time you stay there, the greater the chance of being knocked down. There is a certain visceral satisfaction in playing with Venom. He is that character that makes you feel powerful. Everything vibrates, each blow is heavy, and the sound of the punches creates a brutal atmosphere. He is the type of hero, or anti-hero, that defines the rhythm of the fight, but also depends a lot on good positioning to survive. Players with quick reflexes and constant attention will be able to extract the best from him. Whoever relaxes for a second will pay dearly. In the end, Venom is the perfect portrait of unbalanced strength, absurd offensive potential, but with glaring weaknesses in defenses and hitbox. His rank B is absolutely fair. He dominates the simplest phases and commands respect in enemies, but in high difficulties, his own physicality turns against him. If the game adjusts his resistance to projectiles or reduces the size of the hurt box, he would easily rise to A. Until then, Venom continues to be the predator, who bleeds too much. She-Hulk is pure brute force in the form of a character. She has presence, impact, and a combat rhythm that makes each blow seem like an earthquake. However, this direct approach has a cost, and that's where her rank B is explained. She-Hulk is fun, powerful, but depends too much on short distance and staying exposed, something that the game's meta doesn't always favor. The highlight of her kit is the damage. Few characters cause as much damage in so little time when they manage to engage the complete combo. The weight of the blows is delicious to feel. That type of character that you feel the ground tremble with each punch. The medium range works well against grouped enemies, but it's not enough to deal with projectiles and opponents who attack from afar. This forces her to play aggressively all the time, which is fun, but dangerous. Her jump attack is one of the highlights of the kit. It's an excellent area attack, capable of eliminating groups around with a cinematic impact. However, it comes with a built-in risk, the recovery after landing. This vulnerability is enough for faster enemies to counterattack before you can regain control, which breaks the flow and can be costly in higher difficulties. This technical detail makes all the difference, especially in phases full of shooters. The lack of long-range tools is what really holds She-Hulk back. In a game where many characters can control the entire screen with projectiles or lightning attacks, she is restricted to direct confrontations. And although she can destroy anything she reaches, the problem is precisely getting close. In many moments, it feels as if the game is punishing the player for trying to fight in a melee way. Still, She-Hulk has charisma and style to spare. Her animations exude confidence and power, and the feeling of dominating the battlefield with pure physical strength is rewarding. She is the type of character that rewards aggressiveness and precise timing. Whoever learns to read the field and enters at the right time can cause damage that few equal. It's not a character for everyone, but in the right hands can become a chaotic and exciting force. She-Hulk is an offensive tank that shines for brutality, but suffers from the lack of range and defensive options. Her rank B is fair, reflecting a powerful character, but limited by design. With one or two adjustments, perhaps a shock ability that covered long distance, or a faster recovery after the jump, she would have everything to rise to rank A and consolidate herself as one of the pillars of physical combat in the game. Entering rank A, we have Black Panther, who is one of those characters representing the perfect balance between style and efficiency. He is fast, precise, and incredibly technical, the type of hero who rewards sharp reflexes and mastery of combat timing. His rank A reflects this versatility. It's not just a matter of damage, but of control and consistency. In a game so focused on explosive action, T'Challa stands out for finesse and fluidity. His frame speed is simply absurd. Attacks come out almost instantly, allowing him not only to pressure enemies, but also to interrupt them before any slower animation from the opponent concludes. This detail completely changes the rhythm of battles. While other characters have to wait for the strike to connect, Black Panther is already starting the next combo. This creates a sensation of rhythm and mastery that few characters can offer in the game. But what really puts him a step above the majority of melee combatants are the energy daggers. They function as a natural extension of his style, offering a safe and precise ranged attack option. It's the type of tool that Wolverine, for example, would dream of having. Thanks to this, Black Panther can adapt to any situation. He is lethal up close, efficient from afar, and rarely at a tactical disadvantage. The design of his kit is impressively well balanced. He isn't a character that relies on ability spam. His potential comes from dominating the rhythm of the fight. Alternating between quick attacks, precise dodges, and punctual use of daggers makes him one of the most dynamic and rewarding characters to play. The player feels they are always in control, which transforms every victory into a matter of skill, not brute force. Visually and in terms of sound impact, Black Panther also hits the mark. The sound of the blows is dry and precise, and the animations reflect the refinement of his combat style based on agility and technique. This elegance gives an extra layer of charisma to the character, making him not just efficient, but memorable. He is that type of hero who seems to always be 2 steps ahead of the enemy, which fits perfectly with his personality. In the end, Black Panther is a protagonist disguised as a supporting character, a complete warrior, with tools to stand out in any situation. His rank A is deserved, not because he dominates the game alone, but because he never disappoints. He is solid, fast, versatile, and incredibly satisfying to play. If the game rewards technical style and timing mastery more in the future, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him climb to rank S. Captain America is the portrait of balance and discipline amidst the chaos. He isn't the character who shines the brightest visually, nor the one who destroys hordes of enemies in a single blow. But when the subject is consistency, he is unsurpassed. His rank A is sustained precisely by this. He represents the mastery of fundamentals, that type of character who rewards patience, field reading, and precision. The shield is the soul of his kit. It not only defines the captain's playstyle, but completely molds how the player views combat. His parry and block system is the most refined in the game, almost surgical. Mastering the right time to parry attacks turns any fight into a controlled ballet, where the captain responds with millimeter perfection. And the best part? These defenses don't break the rhythm, they only redirect it, maintaining the natural flow of action. The shield throw is what prevents him from being limited to a ground combatant. It has range, ricochet, and consistent damage, allowing the captain to maintain presence even against flying enemies or distant projectiles. This gives enormous tactical depth. He can alternate between solid defense and precise offense without needing to expose himself. When well used, the shield practically redefines the battlefield, controlling angles and dictating the pace. What differentiates the captain is that he makes the simple look sophisticated. He doesn't depend on flashes of power like Storm or Phoenix. His brilliance comes from pure technique. Players who understand spacing and cadence will get everything he offers. With every well-executed parry or perfect block, he turns combat into a demonstration of absolute control. He doesn't need to explode the screen, because he dictates when and how the fight happens. Defensively, he is a fortress. The damage mitigation abilities are impressive, and in the hands of someone who knows how to manage recovery time, he becomes almost immortal. This durability makes him one of the safest characters to face long stages and unpredictable bosses. It is hard to die with the captain, provided the player is attentive and plays with intention, not just aggression. Captain America is the character who teaches the value of technique over brute power. His rank A is more than deserved because he delivers something rare: control, consistency, and safety, without relying on visual excesses. He is the true master of fundamentals, the one who proves that, in a universe full of cosmic energy and absurd powers, there is still room to win with just a shield, strategy, and pure skill. Nova is a character who balances cosmic power and physical aggression in a unique way. He is the type of hero who makes everything look grand. Every dash, every burst of energy, every mid-air collision conveys a sense of impact and speed that is hard to match. His rank A is extremely fair. He brings together mobility, versatility, and style in a solid package, with only a few risks that prevent him from climbing even higher. Comparing him to Iron Man is natural, but also reveals his difference well. While Tony Stark is about space control, distance, and precision, Nova is pure direct action. He wants to be in the center of the battle, using his flight offensively. His kit promotes a frenetic and continuous game rhythm, where the player is rewarded for maintaining constant pressure. And yet, there is an elegance in the way he combines projectiles with bodily charges. His flight is one of the most flexible tools in the game. By allowing a transition from aerial patterns to melee combat almost instantly, it offers total freedom of movement. This versatility makes him a great starter for understanding the height and angle mechanics of the game, but at the same time, requires refinement for those who want to extract the maximum. The challenge is knowing when to dive into the fight and when to pull back to control the field with energy shots. The point where Nova starts to suffer is precisely against enemies with super armor. Characters of this type can tank his fast strikes and hit back before he recovers his balance, which puts him at a disadvantage in fights against heavier bosses. His projectiles help to get around this, but demand good management of distance and time, something that isn't always easy when his natural instinct is to go for the attack. Despite these limitations, playing with Nova is an extremely satisfying experience. The sensation of speed, the impact of energy collisions, and the flow of combat give a unique energy to the character. He is that type of hero who turns any stage into a show of light and explosions. Even when things get out of control, it is hard not to feel powerful while he tears through the battlefield in pure, luminous speed. In the end, Nova is a character of balance between excitement and precision. He doesn't have the calculated coldness of Iron Man, nor the brute devastation of Thor, but compensates with agility and style. His rank A reflects exactly this: an efficient cosmic warrior who shines in the hands of those who know how to alternate aggression and control. If the game someday adjusts how he deals with super armor, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him reach rank S and become one of the titans of the meta. Starting rank S, we have Phoenix, who is, without exaggeration, a force of nature. She dominates the battlefield with such presence that even other characters seem like mere supporting actors next to her. The character's raw firepower is absurd. Every attack is an explosion of cosmic energy that redraws the scenery. Her rank S is more than fair, because Phoenix doesn't just fulfill the role of area damage, she practically redefines the concept of destruction in the game. The area of effect is the point that makes her so dominant. Few characters can control the field like her. Her beams, energy waves, and explosions cover large extensions, clearing entire groups of enemies before they even get close. This amplitude makes her one of the best choices for horde challenges, point defense, and stages with multiple simultaneous spawns. Playing with her is almost like flipping a switch and watching chaos spread. The aesthetic of Phoenix's powers is hypnotic. The flames, the golden details, and the chromatic intensity turn every fight into a visual spectacle. However, it is precisely there that her only technical weak point lies. In cooperative mode, the fire and explosion effects can pollute the screen so much that reading counterattacks or enemy projectiles becomes almost impossible. This is more of a visual feedback problem than gameplay per se, but it is enough to prevent her from climbing to rank S+. In purely mechanical and performance terms, Phoenix deletes health bars with frightening ease. Her area damage scales very well, and the cooldown time of abilities is generous enough to keep her active almost without pauses. She is the type of character who turns difficult encounters into quick executions. Just one well-positioned special is enough to sweep away enemies that would give other heroes trouble. She also has an interesting tactical presence because of the crowd control her indirect attacks provide. Even when not finishing targets, Phoenix is constantly interrupting, pushing, or burning enemies, creating space and rhythm for the team. This ability to dictate the flow of combat makes a big difference in cooperative fights, making her valuable not just for damage, but also for zoning and pressure. Phoenix represents the apex of offensive power in Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Her effects are so intense that she dominates any scenario she appears in, but at the cost of making the tactical reading of fights difficult. Rank S reflects this perfectly. A devastating character, almost unstoppable, but bordering on visual overkill. If the game adjusts the brightness of the effects or offers cleaner combat filters, it would be inevitable to see her climb to rank S+. Until then, she continues to be the roster's win button. Cosmic Ghost Rider is one of the best designed characters in terms of mobility and playstyle. The motorcycle isn't just a visual ornament, it is the heart of his kit and the reason why he occupies rank S with such merit. This character transforms the concept of movement into a weapon, allowing the player to control the rhythm of combat in a unique way. He is fast, unpredictable, and devastating when used with intelligence. The rapid repositioning capability that the bike offers completely changes the dynamic of fights. While other characters need to walk, run, or use specific abilities to cross long distances, Cosmic Ghost Rider simply revs the engine and crosses the field in seconds, dealing damage along the entire path. This not only speeds up enemy clearing, but also allows the player to dictate where and when the battle will happen. This superior mobility is especially valuable in siege situations. When pressured by multiple enemies or cornered, most characters need to fight melee to open space or rely on limited dodges. Cosmic Ghost Rider simply accelerates and gets out of the tight spot instantly, reallocating himself to a safe position or directly behind enemies to continue attacking. This level of space control is rare and extremely effective. Besides the bike, the character has a solid arsenal of melee and ranged attacks. His cosmic chains and flaming explosions complement the aggressive style the bike promotes well. The result is a hero who functions like a tornado. He crosses the field, causes constant destruction, and disappears before enemies can respond. It is the type of character who rewards intelligent aggression, not just brute force. Visually, Cosmic Ghost Rider is spectacular. The cosmic flames, speed effects, and the sound of the motorcycle create an intense and charismatic atmosphere. Every pass he makes through the battlefield feels like a cinematic moment, and this adds a layer of satisfaction that goes beyond mechanical performance. He doesn't just win, he wins with style, and that makes a difference in the gaming experience. At the end of the day, Cosmic Ghost Rider is the personification of lethal speed applied to combat. His rank S is absolutely deserved because he delivers something unique, offensive mobility that few can equal. He isn't just fast, he transforms movement into a weapon, and this places him among the best characters in the game. If the meta someday values tactical repositioning and dynamic combat even more, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him fight for the absolute top. Iron Man is the epitome of field control. He doesn't dominate through brute force or insane speed, but through the intelligence of his kit design. His rank S is deserved because it reflects exactly what he offers: consistency, safety, and an absurd capacity to dictate the rhythm of combat from a distance. Tony Stark, as always, wins with calculation. And here, the strategy is all about space dominance and projectile management. The character's focus is constant energy bombardment. Keeping multiple shots active on the screen turns the field into a zone controlled by Iron Man, which creates a kind of passive defense. Enemies who approach simply evaporate amidst beams and missiles. This ability to apply pressure without exposing himself makes him one of the most efficient characters in long fights, where positioning and distance control are worth more than immediate raw damage. The Unibeam is the heart of his offensive kit. It is one of the most reliable and satisfying line-clearing tools in the game. In a single, well-positioned burst, he is capable of eliminating entire groups of enemies or cutting a significant bar off minor bosses. The only point of attention is the recovery time, the famous recovery frame. During those seconds after firing, Iron Man becomes vulnerable, and against aggressive enemies, this can exact a high price if the player isn't attentive. Still, the balance between power and vulnerability is what makes him so interesting to play. He is never purely overpowered, but always rewarding. Using Iron Man well is a question of rhythm, knowing when to retreat, when to unleash the Unibeam, and when to alternate between flight and basic shots. He demands tactical reading, and this makes every fight with him a dance of technological precision. In visual and sound terms, Iron Man is impeccable. The shine of the armor, the mechanical sound of the helmet, and the impact of the repulsors create a unique sense of protagonism. When he enters combat, it seems the entire field revolves around his presence. It is elegant, efficient, and cinematic. Exactly the type of experience expected from a character who represents genius in mechanized combat. Iron Man is the pillar of the meta based on screen control and tactical safety. He doesn't have the immediate destructive force of a Phoenix, nor the wild mobility of a cosmic Ghost Rider, but his mastery in maintaining positional advantage places him firmly in rank S. He is the hero of quick thinking, the strategist of the air, and when mastered, transforms the battlefield into a spectacle of energetic precision. To start our rank S+, we have Storm, who is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most dominant characters in the game. She is the type of hero who redefines how combat is played, controlling the entire field with destructive elegance. Her rank S+ isn't just for the damage, it's for the absolute control she exerts over the rhythm of battles. While other characters fight within the rules, Storm writes them. The floating mechanic completely changes the game. Being constantly in the air keeps her out of reach of most ground enemies, and this in itself is already a brutal differentiator in high difficulties. It is like playing with the entire field in your favor. This positional advantage makes her not just an attacker, but also a natural strategist, capable of observing and reacting with precision from outside the chaos. The range of the tornadoes is the perfect complement to this style. They cover extensive areas and have enough duration to push, disorganize, or eliminate entire waves of enemies. It is almost unfair to watch these walls of wind take the field. It seems the game simply cannot react to the scale of her powers. The result is that Storm dictates the flow of battles from start to finish, and rarely needs to take risks. The most interesting thing is how her kit balances control and elegance. There is no exaggeration or randomness. Everything responds with fluidity and crisp timing. The lightning, wind gusts, and tornadoes connect naturally, forming an almost musical rhythm. Playing with Storm is an experience of precision, a symphony of destruction where everything happens according to your will. When she is in action, the rest of the team literally revolves around her. Even in boss confrontations, she maintains relevance through distance and the constancy of attacks. While other heroes need to manage dodges or armor, Storm stays safe in the air, hammering the enemy with uninterrupted damage and control. She doesn't just survive in the highest difficulties, she thrives in them. This stability makes her one of the most reliable choices, especially in cooperative resistance missions. In the end, Storm is what every tier S+ character should be: complete, dominant, and technically refined. The combination of aerial mobility, massive damage, and area control puts her above the meta. She doesn't play inside the combat system, she breaks it, but with style and precision. She is the type of character who turns any group into an unstoppable storm and shows why, when Storm enters the scene, even the game needs to adapt. Silver Surfer is the apex of tactical efficiency. He isn't just powerful, he is practically immune to the type of risk that other characters need to face. His rank S+ is deserved because he represents the perfection of a concept, eliminating danger from the game itself. Playing with him is like having a superpower of absolute control, where combat happens at the pace and position you choose. His most evident advantage is the hurt box. Since he floats constantly, he is rarely within reach of melee attacks and basic enemy projectiles. This places him on a level of safety that few manage to reach. While other characters need to dodge, block, or retreat, Silver Surfer simply hovers above the chaos, observing and attacking without exposing himself. It is like playing with a character who doesn't need to worry about what the game considers danger. The beam attacks are another devastating weapon. They cut through enemies, clean entire rows, and have enough range to keep the Surfer always out of harm's way. Best of all is that he doesn't need to reposition to cause impact. Just point and release, and the whole field turns into an elimination zone. This ease in dealing massive damage without exposure is what makes him so efficient across all difficulties. His area attack is pure cleaning power. There is no need to manage defensive positioning, no need for dodges or blocks. He simply sweeps the screen, eliminating enemies as if he were cleaning dust. This makes him essential in stages with hordes or bosses that demand space control. He is the type of character who turns challenges into routine, thanks to his capacity to maintain distance and cause havoc at the same time. Technically, Silver Surfer is the safest choice in the game. He doesn't depend on perfect timing, doesn't need complicated combos, and doesn't suffer from the pressure of being in the center of the battle. His style is based on control, precision, and efficiency, everything the Cosmic Invasion meta values. He is the type of hero who can be played by beginners or veterans, because his mechanics are simple, but the impact is always devastating. In the end, Silver Surfer is the personification of pure efficiency. He doesn't need to risk himself to win, doesn't need acrobatics or elaborate combos. He simply dominates the battlefield from above, clearing everything around him without worrying about counterattacks. If the game had a definitive character, it would be him. Rank S+ isn't just a recognition of strength, but of intelligent design and absolute control over combat itself.